So hello and welcome to Kitty Talks. We share inspirational life stories that inspire you to create yours. And today I have the pleasure of interviewing a very old but very amazing friend of mine. We've known each other for the last 18 years. Andee Ryder, Dee Ryder, welcome to Kitty Talks.
Thank you, Kitty. It's nice to be with you.
So Dee, for me, has always been an incredible inspiration. She has always known what she wants to do with her life, and I've always really admired that. We lived together probably about, 15 years or so ago. And right from the get-go, she always knew she wanted to be big in film and went after her dreams. And so I'm very pleased to say that Dee is a BAFTA nominated, double BAFTA nominated, for most recently for the film McQueen, has 3 feature films under her belt, and is the producer and co-managing director of Misfits Entertainment. So welcome to Kitty Talks.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Well, I'm really excited to have you here because, as I said, I've always been a massive supporter, I hope you'll agree to that, of your career and you going after your dreams. And I was really excited to get you on the show because for me, for us doing our Dharma, it's not always going to be easy. And I think you are testament to somebody who's so committed, and now you're just having amazing results in your career and in your life. So welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here. And I have always noticed it, and it's been hugely appreciated because at times of lesser confidence, it's nice to see people around, have people around you support and sort of give you that extra strength to keep carrying on with what you're trying to do. So thank you.
So when did you know you wanted to get into films, Dee?
I was making films from a very early age, like a teenager, with my friends mucking about with their old Hi8 video camera, and we used to edit with a tape. But I kind of didn't really. That was more just a passion and enjoyment, and I didn't really put it as a sort of lifestyle choice and career choice, and because it's a hobby as well as a career for me. And I think that became clear when I was at university, because I went to university to do media and society, which is a very broad subject. But I was mainly there because I was interested in film, and I was catering all my courses to film. And at that point, I kind of realized, hang on, I think I finally realized that maybe I want to do this as a career, and it's something I want to do for the rest of my life. So I was around about the age of 20 when I thought, this is something that's going to become, more than just a hobby as well.
And did you, at that point, come up against, people, the doubters, I like to call them, the naysayers? Oh, really? Like, how did your parents react when you said, "Oh, you're going to be a filmmaker"? I know your parents, so I know that they're amazing.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they were very supportive from the start. I think for a while, I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I was growing up, I wasn't really that clear. Most of the time, I just enjoyed myself and enjoyed being young. And then when they came up against it, I remember the very first doubter was actually at university. One of my lecturers, I remember we had this course, and it was making films. It was basically the practical side of making films rather than just a theory. And I remember we came up with a pitch for something we wanted to do, and it was a scripted fiction piece. And his advice was, well, that's going to be too hard for you to do because you're not qualified enough. So you should just make a documentary because it's easier. Which was immediately, I always remember that as being really strange advice, because at university at a time it's for experimenting and trying things out and making mistakes and learning. And I also remember he kind of forced us to do a documentary in the end. But after university, as soon as we got out of university, the first thing I did was make a fiction film, and it was terrible, but I learned a lot.
Well, that's how we learn, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And did you come up against people sort of saying, "Oh, you can't really make film a career," and because that's the kind of classic, is that creatives bump into that a lot. How can you make a living from something creative?
Yeah, I did. You do. I mean, it was. I spent a year after university trying to get jobs in the industry, and it took me a long time. And I got offered jobs, and I was getting offered jobs, media sales jobs. Like I remember going to these horrendous interviews, like people just, they're kind of cold calling, but like around businesses. And I kept getting offered them after interviews because I was going to them because I was broke and I was interested. I was just trying to get money to survive. And then so I'd have the interview, but every time I got offered the job, I'd end up turning it down because I just didn't want to do it in the end. I knew it would make me unhappy. It wasn't what I wanted to do. And then at that point, that was difficult because I was living back at my parents. I didn't have much money, and they were kind of trying to get me going and trying to, probably get me out of the house, to be honest. But so they were trying to get me into jobs, and even talked about me trying to get me in the police force, which was really weird because
Really?
I would never do that. Nothing wrong with the police force, but it's not for me. Anyway, in the end, I sort of managed to get a job in the industry, which was a sort of kickstart, I suppose. But it still wasn't enough because I was just making teas. I wasn't making my own films.
And I was going to say, for anybody listening who wants to make a career out of film, what was your first sort of break? You said you got a job. Was it like a runner or?
It's called a runner in the industry, or production assistant. And actually it was on, for those of us old enough to remember, it was on a show called Time Team.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, with Tony Robinson and Phil Harding. And it was agricultural. Oh God, I'm forgetting the word. Where you, oh God, it's terrible. I worked in it for ages. Where you dig stuff up under the ground and
I know.
Oh my God.
Archaeology.
Archaeology. That's terrible. That's really bad.
Agricultural.
That's embarrassing. It's an archaeological program, but I worked on that as a production assistant, and that's, as it sounds, you just assist every kind of bit where you can. And a lot of it is, making teas, running around, driving stuff around, dropping around, general dog's body. But you start to connect and meet people and learn, and it was a great experience.
And how did that, so talk me through, because obviously, the whole point of Kitty Talks is that we empower and inspire people to step into their dreams. I truly believe we all have a purpose on the planet. And
Yes.
Actually those little intuitive nudges and those dreams that you've got are for a reason and for a purpose. And actually we need to go after our passions because that leads us to the correct path in life. So can you kind of give me the pivotal moments of how you went from being a runner, obviously, to what you're doing now, which is creating double BAFTA nominated films, which is incredible.
I mean, the thing with me is I was always, I'm not very good at working on shows that don't interest me or that I wouldn't watch. Because I realized, like, it's not why I got in the industry. I got in the industry to make films that inspire me or be involved in films that I watch. And so obviously the film and TV industry is a really broad industry. It's massive. And so you can end up working on stuff like Time Team was interesting, and it was generally interesting because I like history, but it still wasn't really what I wanted to be doing in terms of what I wanted to be making. So how I did this, I was having to work in the daytime in my day job in order to pay my rent. But I started meeting up with people who also wanted to make other films. And we started doing this in our free time, in the evenings, in the weekends. And we would be plotting and planning and making film, like how to make a film. And basically we started making our own films that were our own vision in our free time. But it's hard because you're still doing a 9-to-5 regular 40 to 50 hour week in that, as I was at that time. And then I was having to fit it in evenings and weekends. And so you have to find the energy to do that around. And that's hard because, you end up sometimes doing 7-day weeks all the time. But along that, we experimented, we made different films, and we just continued to do that. So all the time I was working in the industry for other companies, I was always making my own films in my spare time. And obviously the more I worked in the industry, the more I learned, the more people I met. And the more films I made, the more I learned, because I made most of my first films were all terrible. But each one got slightly better, or I learned more. And the more I pushed myself to make films, and the more ambitious I got, the more I learned. And after a while, I made a short film called Bail, which was probably after I'd been trying to edit for 6, 7 years. And we kind of went, right, we're not just going to make these zero budget films anymore. We're going to we went out and raised some money. It took me a year. We raised £15,000, which was just done. It was we crowdfunded it before crowdfunding existed. For, Kickstarter and all, Indiegogo and all those things, and Seeders. And we basically just got money from hundreds, maybe thousands of different people to get together 15 grand and made a short film called Bale, which was based on mine and the director's childhood of growing up in Rutland, which is in the East Midlands, smallest county in the country. It was a lot of our memories, and we turned it into one 15-minute narrative. And it was a disaster. The set got burnt down halfway through filming. But which meant we ran out of money, and we had an incomplete film. But we applied to what was called the UK Film Council at the time, and they saw something in it, and they gave us another £8,000 to finish it off. And so we finished off the film. So we had to film some stuff a year later after we'd finished. So it was really cobbled together, that film. But it went on to premiere at Edinburgh International Film Festival, and it played in like over 100 film festivals around the world. And it kind of really launched my producing career, because before that I was kind of in the industry as a researcher by that time and assistant still. But that kind of, I started getting music videos and commercials off the back of that.
Excellent. So, and I have what I'm hearing is real dedication. Like you were saying, like it's not for the faint-hearted, is it? Pursuing what you really love, because I think this whole idea that you can be an overnight success. What can you speak to that for me?
Yeah, it doesn't really happen unless something. I mean, it's. I think everything in our industry, it's most people, it's just down to real long hard work. It's really hard work just getting to Bale, and Bale was like a short film that kind of launched me as a producer, but I still wasn't earning a great lot of money. A lot of the time through Bale, I was most of the time out of money. I was in and out because I was always taking jobs here or there, but also wanting to do my own stuff. So I needed time off by that point to do it. And I was having to occasionally I was going to stay at my brother's for a little bit. And it was hard, really, really hard.
And what kept you
annoying
going?
Not having money.
What kept you going? Why did you keep going?
I suppose I just really want to do what I want to do and want to make the films I want to do, and I want to share those with people. And I'm not driven by having huge amounts of money. It's not something which drives me. Obviously I want to be comfortable in life, but I just I'm usually pretty positive as well. I'm a positive person, so I always see that that's good. There's always a way of getting out of something. So I think just a drive to succeed, a drive to make the films I want to make, and believing I have a voice and believing in myself to share that voice with people.
And so talk me through the next stage of the sort of evolution of your film career. So you did Bale, and when did you set up Misfits? Where does that come in the time order?
Yeah, so Bale was like my first. I really see that as a pinnacle. Pinnacle, is that the right word?
Pinnacle, pivotal. Yep.
Pivotal. That's what I'm looking for. God, still the morning. A pivotal moment in my career, because it got me going. But then I made a few other short films, but I was still having to work in the industry and doing jobs. I mean, at that point I was starting to get really big jobs on Hollywood films. Like I worked on Stardust, which is a really, really beautiful film. Yeah, I worked on it for about a year in the end, and that was a great experience because I met a lot of people. I met a visual effects producer who took me on to work on Batman Dark Knight. I then worked on Doomsday, The Wolfman, and I started getting lots of. This was all but I was a very small cog in a very big machine on those things. But again, it was a good experience. But in the meantime, I was still making other short films. I made a film called Hit and Run. I made a film called 10 Tigers. I made a film called The Crossing. And they were just good short films. Started to get me. I did lots of music videos. But then I realized I was getting stuck in this short film world. I was just making these short films, and it was tiring because I was still doing it all in my free time. And it wasn't getting me any money to be able to quit doing the other work and only do my own films that I wanted to make. So I looked at how I'm going to stop just making short films and get to what we call in the film industry, it's like your first feature. It's a big step, your first feature. And so I worked out how I could do that. I fought long and hard. And then, so I started developing feature film projects. But I realized no one was taking us seriously, because it's a different proposition going around trying to find money, maybe 10, 20 grand for a short film. When you're trying to make a feature, it's usually hundreds of thousands of pounds, maybe more, over a million, depends on the film. But on ours, we were trying to find, we were making a film called Alley Cats, and we were trying to find, in the end, it was £500,000. That's a lot more money. And trying to get people to take us seriously, we couldn't. So we ended up going back to what we knew how to do, but we made a short film again, but it was a proof of concept for Alley Cats. It wasn't just a short film on its own, like a standalone piece. And so we went out and we shot this short film of Alley Cats, and that started to really move things along. That made because we could say, here's this feature film we want to make. Here's the script. Here's all the visuals, but here's also a short film, which is basically just a proof of concept for this bigger vision. And that enabled people to believe in me and the director, because we could show like a 10-minute segment of that film that looked really good. Yeah, and it looked really good. And that was a 2-3 year process. I mean, Alley Cats, from when we started it to when we actually got it made, it was 7 years.
Wow, 7 years.
Yeah, and by the time it was finished, it was 9 years. But when I first started talking about the project with Ian, the director, and who's now my business partner at Misfits Entertainment, it was 7 years. So it was 9 years in the making.
You see, what I love, and this is something I see because I have a Do Your Dharma course, and I always encourage my students to work out where they're going. So your job is to know what you want, not necessarily how it's going to happen.
Yeah, very true. Yeah.
And what I can hear in your sharing is that you worked out what you wanted, and then you just went for it. You didn't necessarily know how you were going to get from A to B, but by, the clarity comes through the engagement.
Very true. Yeah.
But 9 years, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a long time, but you set out exactly that, where you want to be, and you try and work out a path to get there. But the one thing you'll know, and actually this is something which actually my dad's always said, it's like the one thing you know about a schedule and a plan is it will change. So you just have to keep being flexible and adapting to it. But you set some goal lines along the way, and you just try and get to those each as you can, and then maybe you have to adjust every now and again. But as long as you know what your end goal is and you keep at it, that's what I would always encourage.
And you know me well, Andee, and you know
I do.
I'm a bit woo-woo in my thinking. Have you explored?
Well, no, you're not. Yeah.
Well, I think you would probably share some of my woo-woo-ness, but have you had it sort of crazy, weird synchronicities along this path? Like that kind of, sometimes we get these amazing kind of experiences when we're doing what we're supposed to be doing on the planet. Like, is there any kind of synchronicities that you can share with me, or any kind of, sometimes you just get this confirmation that you're going the right way?
And it's just to be clear, is this synchronicities with people or just synchronicities with the world around us? Is that?
Well, I would say just in general, like quite often I kind of put something out there, and then somebody will just appear who kind of then can solve the problem that I have, or it just kind of those. Sometimes you get that feeling that you're just on the right path and you're being supported. I truly believe when we do our Dharma that. When it's what we came to do, and in your case, I truly believe, film is your thing, that we will get sort of signs and signals that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a personal point of view, meeting my business partner Ian was a big thing, because we connected, and we both have a similar. He's incredibly hardworking as well, and has a true vision to get there, and works hard to do achieve the best he can. Within film, so that was definitely a big step. I think aligning myself around with other people, other filmmakers, was a real big step forwards as well. With seeing how I progressed for each film has really helped me. And I mean, I must admit, Kitty, because when I lived with you, you inspired me as well to do your own thing, because you've always been well, I suppose not always, but in recent years, what you've achieved and the way you've gone about living your life in your own on your own terms and exploring yourself and being your best self. That was actually happening around the time I was trying to get Alley Cats going, and I don't say this lightly, and I really mean it. You were actually inspiring to me, and so that was quite a pivotal moment, I suppose, again, because
Yeah.
that was seeing that happen around me. And I suppose that helped me with another journey I went through as well. So.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we've never really talked about that, but yeah, I think when we lived together, I was really trying to change who I was, and I wasn't happy with kind of the environment and the lifestyle I built around me, and I was trying to, like a butterfly, almost sort of coming out of a
Yeah,
caterpillar going into a butterfly.
you
And
did have a coming out.
yeah, absolutely. Um, and that kind of brings me on to something else I wanted to talk to you about, because something else I'm really inspired by you is, we talked about this before we came on air, and you've changed how you have presented yourself in the world.
Yes.
So that was your words, not mine. Would you be, because I would probably said something different, but would you be open to just sort of sharing with our audience how you have changed your presentation in the world?
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, most of you can probably tell by the pitch of my voice. Usually, is the biggest giveaway. But yeah, I'm a transgendered woman, and I used to present in a far more masculine way than I do now. And yeah, that's some journey that I've gone through, particularly in recent years. And um, what we call the transitioning process has been very recent. I'm pretty much coming to the end of it, which is thankful, because it's quite a difficult time, and it was just a lot of effort, to be honest. It's a lot of it's a lot of uplift and change and upheaval in your life, and which is challenging all around you, with your loved ones. But yeah, I've been going through that. So yeah, that's and obviously when I lived with you, I didn't present that way. I knew I was starting to explore my gender, but I was still presenting in a very masculine way day to day.
Well, I have to say, I'm really, really proud of you, because I think when we commit to being our best selves, to being our authentic selves, that isn't necessarily always easy for us and for others around us, So I have to say, I'm really proud of you for being on your journey and, being authentic, what's the word I'm looking for? Being authentic to yourself, actually, because I presume if you hadn't have changed the way you presented yourself to the world, then that would have become really increasingly uncomfortable. But it's a big step,
Yeah, exactly. It became a point where it was just too uncomfortable. I mean, I often find a lot of people use the word courage and things like that, and actually it gets to the point where you're so brave and all this, and it's like, it gets to a point though for me where there was no option. It became too uncomfortable presenting
like
that way. I was done with it, and it was I that was a way that I'd done as a way of survival, I suppose. And a way of I just the way of the environment around me when I grew up, was that that's the way I got conditioned, I suppose, to present myself. But it got to a point when I was about 30. I'm 38 now, where it just really, I realized that something wasn't right, and I really had to change it if I wanted to live my life on my terms. And that was a key part. I sort of, in the end, for me, I realized that if I didn't change it, I wouldn't be living my life on my terms. I'd be living it worrying about what other people thought about me, and worrying about the world around me. And actually, what mattered to me was living the life the way I wanted to. And the way I would be, it might make things more difficult, and it might be challenging. But it was really important for me to live in my skin on my terms.
Beautiful. I always say, what other people think of us is none of our business.
No, of course not. None of their business. And if they think things that are negative and that are detrimental to those people, or just have any way that is just other than supporting someone else for being their best self, unless they hurt other people, then then I don't really understand that. I actually have difficulty computing it, really. Why would someone think negatively of someone else who's just living their life the way they want to?
Yeah, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts, actually, because in my own transformation, in my own kind of journey, you know, going from a caterpillar to a butterfly, I have lost is the wrong word. I would say I've almost evolved, and I've maybe don't resonate with people that I did before. You know, it's almost like you are at a different point. You outgrowing sounds a bit condescending, but you just you don't necessarily have so much in common with those people anymore. And actually, I'm very fussy about who I spend my time with. I only wanted to spend my time with people who fully support me, and who are on the same journey actually as me.
Yeah, I would. And I think that's really important, because those people who don't fully support you, or maybe pretend to, but kind of underneath don't, are only negative to your Dharma, to your energy, and I think they just don't allow you to be yourself, and it will have an effect on you. And I think it's really important to sort of, it's not to push those people away, that's someone, but just to control that in a sort of way, knowing that, yeah, because you just know that if those people, it does affect you, and you end up, and you're in this sort of you end up kind of thinking about it a lot when you're with them, and they're judging you and all this, and it's just not very supportive. And I mean, I know that about you, Kitty. I've seen that, and I think you've done exactly the right thing, because you've moved and come out in the way that you want to live your life in your best terms. And if people are going to be judgmental of anyone to do that, then they're just not the right people to be around you. And yeah, it's because I've had that. I have lost some friends, not a huge amount, but there's some people who are actually really funnily around me, and you have to be patient as well. I think if you're not patient with people, though, I think you're also not giving them the same time that you're giving yourself. And I think so. Yeah, I think you need to, like, any kind of change that people go through in the way that they present or are in the way they live their life. If you just expect people to, from one day to the next, just change with you, it's kind of unfair and not really, like, for me, it took me years to sort of pull the strength to come out and be the best me. And then, but a lot of that was internal before it was external. And so if I don't give the other people that time, then I'm not giving them the same time that I gave myself. And I don't think that's fair. But after a while, though, if they've had quite a while and they're still not getting it, then maybe there's something wrong, and then they need a chat. And then if there's something wrong, then it's just something wrong. Yeah.
But no, that's a lovely point, actually. That's really nice and very giving of you, actually. Is it right? It's, I think it's important that people are, for me, human beings are human beings, and the sooner we all realize we are all one, the sooner that we realize that the person who isn't doing so well homeless on the street is us,
yeah.
We need to pull together as a race.
Yes, of course.
So what's next for you, my darling, in this world takeover within film?
Next is, I mean, we much of the fallout of McQueen has happened now. The BAFTAs were,
and how was
just
that?
About,
oh my God, I haven't
caught up with
you. So I saw all the pictures. I saw your dress. I saw you on the red carpet. I was like watching your Insta stories. How was it? What was an experience?
It was a phenomenal experience. It was funny because I don't make films to win awards. I make films that I hope people appreciate, and as long as a few people appreciate a film I made, then we're happy. That's what you're making. It is art meets business. We still have to commercialize it in a way that we can make a living off it, because we run a business. We don't. It's again not about making our millions, but But yeah, it was funny when you sort of, when the whole thing happened, and I suppose in a bit of the aftermath now, you can look back on it and go, yeah, I mean, there is always a little bit of you that, of course, occasionally thinks about going to the BAFTAs or the Oscars, and getting there, and of course getting the acceptance speech, which we didn't get on this occasion, but we always look back at it and say, if anyone had told us we'd get one BAFTA nomination, let alone two for a film, we'd have been over the moon just with one. So we'd probably been over the moon just being shortlisted, because you get shortlisted on email. So, but yeah, to get the actual Dharma nomination, it was a huge, huge achievement, and something we'll be eternally proud of. But the whole experience was crazy. It was surreal. It was, you go on this red carpet. I've been to many a film premiere in my life, and they're always fantastic and exciting, because everyone's, when you finally finish these behemoth of films that we all take on. But you get there, and they're massive. But I've never been to anything like I've been to the BAFTAs. It was just on another scale. There's just so many talented people from front and behind the camera and all over, and it was bonkers, and it was maybe a little bit overwhelming at times. It was so huge, and after party was great fun. But yeah, I can look back on it and just it was amazing. And I suppose it was really good for confidence as well, because you realize that you're surrounded by all these incredibly well-known people from, I suppose, in front of the camera more than I think most people know people from front of the camera than they do from behind the camera. But and you realize, you're all just doing your thing. You're all just there. You're all making movies, and you're all just trying to make the best films you can, and then you're all there to celebrate together. And that was really good, actually. And I've taken a lot of confidence from that. So yeah, it was a phenomenal experience, and one I'm going to remember for a long time, I think.
Well, until the Oscars, because that's next, obviously. Not that you're going after it, but it's just a natural progression, I can tell.
No, we you learn from each film, and we learn a lot from Making McQueen. It was a phenomenally tough film. We made it in a very short space of time, quicker than you'd normally make a documentary, and that was tough. That is run, but the outcome was really proud. I knew when I saw it right towards the end, I was like, actually, this is a really strong film. But yeah, we want to make a better film next time. We want to make films every time, and that's what we do every time. And we look back at every film that we make and think, how can we improve and make a better film? That's our aim. And some films are designed to be more audience driven, and some are more art house, and we make a bit of both. And so there's a different sort of opinion on what is a better film. But sure. we're always learning.
So, Andee, what is next for you?
For me, what is next? So as a company and filmmaker, we are developing a lot of projects. We've got a new documentary it looks like we're attached to. I can't say what it is yet, but it's very exciting. We're developing a lot of documentary series now. So we're trying to make things which are developing content which comes over tells a longer, bigger story than a one-off feature film. And we're developing a horror film set in Mexico, but it's kind of like it's a bit like Let the Right One In. It's not sort of, I don't know if you saw Let the Right One In. If you haven't, you should. It's a beautiful film. It's more of what we call a horror drama. So yeah, we've got a lot on us today. We're developing a transgender drama.
Fantastic.
I'm really excited about that. We're working with a filmmaker called Jake Graff, who's an up-and-coming transgender filmmaker, and he makes a lot of queer content, queer films, and this will be his first feature film. But I'm really excited because it's a very powerful film. And then apart from that, he's a transgendered man, I'm a transgendered woman, so we're sort of quite I'm enjoying working with him. We've got a lot in common. And yeah, we're developing a documentary series and then the scripts and stuff. So what else? And then, personally, my personal life is good. We're thinking about, I'm still working out. I'm in London at the minute, still considering moving somewhere, potentially to LA for a little bit. Yeah.
Oh, exciting.
Yeah, I know. It's just, I've always actually wanted to live abroad. I actually realized I've never lived abroad. So, that's something we're considering. But we shall see.
And how can people listening to this interview find you, support you? I know you've got an Instagram account. Any other ways you would like them to connect with you?
Yeah, the best way is I do any kind of my social sharing on Instagram. Facebook's only for people I've met, and I don't use Twitter. I just found it a bit much for me. But Instagram, it's quite annoying. It's _rocks. Or an easy way sometimes you're going through my company and if you search for Misfits Entertainment on Instagram, it links you to my profile, and there it says run by Dee Rocks and my business partner. So that's probably the easiest way if you go to Misfits Entertainment Instagram account.
Perfect. Well, we'll have all of Dee's details in the show notes. But I want to thank you so much, because I know that your story, you going after your film dream will inspire so many people. So thank you for coming on Kitty Talks.
Well, thank you for having me, and it's nice to catch up as ever, and I really enjoyed it, and I hope it's insightful. I feel like I've just been rambling, but yeah, I hope it's been good.
No, I really enjoyed it. I think it was fantastic. So, guys listening, I'd love to know what you got from this interview. What were your insights? What is it that you are going after to do your Dharma? And we will see you next week with another amazing guest. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. This podcast was sponsored by my Do Your Dharma course. Create a life so good that you pinch yourself. This 8-week online course demystifies Dharma and shows you how to tune in to why you're really here. Go to www.kittytalks.com/do your Dharma.